Somehow I found myself in this most glorious and wonderful and wildest of places, and I feel like I'm still learning about it.
Amanda Owen, the cherished Yorkshire Shepherdess from Our Yorkshire Farm, seemed to live a perfect pastoral life. 9 children, thousands of sheep, and a remote farm that enchanted viewers across Britain. But behind the rolling hills and family warmth, cracks had formed. After more than 22 years of marriage, Amanda divorced her husband Clive in a move that stunned fans and tabloids alike. From rising fame and relentless pressures to hidden personal struggles, what exactly triggered this sudden split? And how did life on the farm change forever? The life that looked perfect from the outside. For years, Amanda Owen seemed to live a life straight out of a modern-day fairy tale set in the rugged beauty of the Yorkshire Dales. To millions of viewers, she was more than a television star. She was the Yorkshire Shepherdess, a woman whose life appeared perfectly balanced between the demands of farming and the joys of family. Alongside her husband Clive, Amanda invited the world into their windswept corner of North Yorkshire, a place where the hills roll endlessly, the air carries the earthy scent of sheep and grass, and every season brings its own set of challenges. Their life was not easy. Raising 9 children on a remote farm required constant attention, endless energy, and a remarkable sense of patience. Sheep needed tending through bitter winters. Lambing season brought sleepless nights, and every storm seemed to test the limits of their endurance. Yet, despite the hard work, Amanda and Clive's farm life carried a warmth and charm that few could resist. It was a life full of laughter, family meals shared after long days, children playing among the flocks, and the quiet satisfaction that comes from caring for the land and the animals that depend on it. Our Yorkshire Farm, the television program that chronicled their daily routines, captured more than chores and harvests. It revealed resilience in the face of exhaustion, joy in small victories, and the kind of togetherness that can only develop when a family is bound not just by love, but by a shared sense of purpose. Viewers saw Amanda skillfully balancing feeding lambs while keeping toddlers close, Clive guiding older children through the steep slopes of the hills, and the entire family working together through the rhythm of the seasons. Every moment was authentic, and that authenticity made audiences feel as though they were part of the Owen household. From the outside, Amanda and Clive's life looked unbreakable. Their marriage seemed strong, their 9 children happy, and Raven Seat Farm a thriving, well-oiled world. The rolling hills, endless flocks of sheep, and family devotion painted a picture of timeless harmony, almost like a storybook. It was easy to believe nothing could disturb this idyllic rural life, that their days were free of conflict or sorrow. Yet, beneath the beauty and calm, subtle cracks were quietly forming. And yet, it was precisely this sense of perfection that made the changes to come so shocking. When cracks eventually appeared, they did not just alter the course of Amanda and Clive's marriage, they shook the very image of the life fans had come to admire, reminding everyone that even the most seemingly idyllic worlds can be hiding struggles beneath the surface. Amanda Owen's life could be described as the true definition of a fulfilled life. With a successful marriage, healthy children, and a farm that has captivated millions. But how long could this seemingly perfect life last? Could it be sustained forever? Now, let's uncover the announcement that changed everything. The shocking split. In June 2022, Amanda and Clive Owen issued a short, carefully worded joint statement that sent waves through fans and the media alike. After 22 years of marriage, the couple announced they had made the difficult decision to separate. There were no dramatic accusations, no public arguments, and no hints of scandal. Instead, the statement emphasized what mattered most: their 9 children and the future of Ravenseat Farm. It was calm, measured, and almost understated. Yet beneath the quiet words lay a lifetime of shared experiences, challenges, and unspoken struggles. For the millions of viewers who had followed the Owens' lives on Our Yorkshire Farm, the news felt almost impossible to reconcile. These were the people who had watched Amanda and Clive navigate the extremes of rural life together, from the grueling demands of lambing season to bitter winter storms that swept across the dales. They had witnessed moments of joy and exhaustion intertwined, seen the family tackle chaos with humor and determination, and grown attached to the image of a household held together by love, grit, and a deep bond with the land. To see that unity suddenly come to an end was shocking. The announcement raised more questions than it answered. Why would a couple who had weathered so much together suddenly choose to part ways? What private struggles had been unfolding behind the camera that made staying together feel impossible after more than 2 decades? Fans speculated, trying to piece together clues from interviews, social media updates, and the occasional report from neighbors. Yet, the truth was far more nuanced than gossip or headline speculation could convey. The separation was not a sudden collapse, nor was it the result of a single argument or event. It was the culmination of years of shifting dynamics, pressures from public life, and changes in personal ambitions and priorities. While the Owens had always presented a united front on television, life behind the scenes included growing tension, differences in how each approached fame, and the weight of responsibilities that fell unevenly on both of them. In private, challenges that viewers could never see were quietly reshaping the foundation of their marriage. Despite the separation, the Owen family made it clear that life on the farm and the well-being of their children remained at the center of everything. The statement reassured the public that they would continue to co-parent and manage farm life together, showing a commitment to family even as their personal relationship had changed. It was a moment that blended heartbreak, pragmatism, and resilience, signaling a turning point in a life that millions had admired from afar, and leaving everyone wondering what truly led to the unraveling of a partnership that had once seemed unshakable. The marriage that seemed perfect, filled with worldly success and family achievements, came to an end after 2 decades. But what could have caused this separation? Was it confirmed infidelity by either spouse, or something more subtle that could have been managed? Let's find out. When worlds drifted apart. The breaking point in Amanda and Clive Owen's marriage did not come in a single dramatic moment. There was no explosive argument captured on camera, no sudden confrontation that signaled the end. Instead, it was a slow, almost imperceptible shift, a gradual unraveling that crept into their lives as pressures, opportunities, and changing roles quietly accumulated. Fans had watched them manage the daily grind of farm life together for years, but behind the scenes, their once solid partnership was beginning to strain under new circumstances. As Our Yorkshire Farm grew in popularity, Amanda's world expanded far beyond the boundaries of Ravenseat. Invitations to speak at events, book deals, and guest appearances on other television programs took her to towns and cities she had never imagined visiting. She became the face of the family in the public eye, admired for her warmth, resilience, and tireless dedication to both her children and her work. Fans celebrated her, shared in her triumphs, and watched as she handled the challenges of fame with determination and grace. With each new opportunity, Amanda carved out a space for herself that was separate from the farm, and that sense of independence became both empowering and necessary for her personal growth. Clive, in contrast, stayed firmly anchored to the land he had tended for decades. Ravenseat was his world, built on routines that gave life to the farm, checking flocks, guiding the children, mending fences, and braving whatever the Yorkshire dales sent his way. While Amanda's life expanded into public appearances, book deals, and television, Clive remained focused on stability, presence, and the steady rhythm of farm life he knew so well. What had once been a balance between their strengths slowly shifted. The gap between Amanda's growing independence and Clive's rootedness quietly widened, creating tension that neither could ignore. Over time, that quiet tension widened into a fault line. Amanda pushed herself relentlessly, attempting to be everything at once: mother, shepherdess, television personality, and public figure. She balanced book launches with lambing season, speaking tours with school runs, and media appearances with field work, often driving herself to exhaustion. Clive, meanwhile, struggled to adapt, grappling with feelings of resentment and a sense that his role in the partnership had been diminished. The life they had built together, the shared routines, mutual support, and deep connection to the farm was slowly eroding under the weight of change. It was not a dramatic collapse, but a quiet, painful crossing of a line that could not be uncrossed. The balance that had once held Amanda and Clive together, love, shared purpose, and respect for one another, had shifted. By the time the separation became official, the cracks were deep, the differences irreconcilable, and the marriage had quietly reached a point of no return. Amanda, advancing her career as the public face of the family, moved in a different direction from her husband, who remained tied to the daily demands of the farm. The growing divide ultimately led to their separation. But what price does this separation come with? Now, let's unravel the true cost of letting go. The darkest days. What came after the separation was not relief, celebration, or even a sense of freedom. Instead, it was a period of collapse, quiet and overwhelming, that neither Amanda nor those around her could have anticipated. For someone whose life had always been defined by motion, responsibility, and the constant care of both land and family, the sudden shift left her unmoored. Away from the cameras, from the familiar rhythm of farm life, Amanda confronted a reality she had never faced: the emotional and physical weight of a broken marriage in full, stark relief. In interviews following the split, Amanda spoke candidly about what she later called her darkest days. Anxiety and depression took root, gnawing at her from within. The energy that had carried her through endless lambing seasons, long nights tending to the flock, and the pressures of public appearances seemed to vanish. She described feeling completely shut down, as though even the simplest tasks were impossible. Daily life, once structured and purposeful, became a minefield of emotional exhaustion. Those closest to Amanda were deeply alarmed. Family, friends, and colleagues watched helplessly as the vibrant, determined woman they knew struggled to cope with the collapse of her personal world. Clive himself later reflected on this period with stark honesty, admitting it was the scariest time of his life. He spoke of nights filled with fear, when he worried he might not wake to see Amanda the next morning. The very foundation of their shared life, the sense of stability, partnership, and purpose, had fractured, leaving both of them navigating a profound and unfamiliar void. The end of Amanda Owen's long marriage was far from a simple resolution. It was a stark reminder of how deeply painful separating from someone you've shared decades with can be, even when the relationship no longer works. Divorce was not a triumph or a relief. It was a struggle to survive, to regain stability, and to reclaim a sense of self. Amid the chaos, Amanda had to continue caring for 9 children, tending to the demands of the farm, and navigating public scrutiny. The experience showed that even a necessary separation carries an immense emotional weight. The months that followed were a lesson in vulnerability, resilience, and the hidden costs of starting over. For Amanda, facing mental health challenges head-on meant acknowledging fears and despair she had long kept private, confronting the toll that years of dedication and public scrutiny could inflict. The divorce may have marked the legal end of a marriage, but it also marked the beginning of an intensely personal journey, one of healing, endurance, and ultimately finding the strength to move forward in a life irrevocably changed. Amanda struggled with her mental and physical health, while Clive described the period after their separation as the scariest time of his life. But what became of the family and the farm? Would the children and the land be divided? Or would the separation only affect Amanda and Clive? Let's uncover the details. The family left, standing in the middle. Amid all the upheaval, the constant thread in Amanda's life remained her 9 children, a lively, diverse brood spanning from grown adults to little ones just starting primary school. For Amanda, their well-being was always the priority, and even as her world shifted dramatically, she tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. Publicly, she assured fans that farm life continued as usual. The sheep still needed feeding, the fields still required tending, and the daily routines that had long structured their lives could not simply be abandoned. Yet, beneath this surface of continuity, the reality was far more complex, nuanced, and fragile than viewers could ever perceive. The divorce reshaped family life in ways that cameras and television could not fully convey. Gone were the seamless interactions captured on Our Yorkshire Farm, the effortless teamwork, the laughter shared over chores, and the comforting sense that, together, they could handle anything. Instead, the children had to learn a new rhythm, splitting time between 2 households, navigating shared responsibilities, and adjusting to parents whose availability was no longer consistent. Tasks once taken for granted, helping with lambing, guiding younger siblings, even enjoying family meals, now require coordination, compromise, and sometimes quiet sacrifice. It was a subtle shift, but one that carried immense weight. The unity that had defined the Owen family for decades gave way to a quieter, more measured existence. Moments of togetherness were no longer guaranteed. They had to be carefully orchestrated. Older children stepped up in ways they might never have anticipated, filling gaps in care and support, while younger ones adapted to a reality that blended love with absence, guidance with distance. Every day became a lesson in flexibility, patience, and resilience. For viewers, the story remained captivating, but the cameras could only capture fragments. The warmth, humor, and vibrancy that had made Amanda and Clive household names persisted in glimpses. The children laughing in the fields, the flocks moving under watchful eyes. But the deeper emotional shifts were invisible. What had once appeared as a single, inseparable unit was now a family learning how to exist in a new order, one shaped not by continuous togetherness, but by adaptation and survival. Through it all, Amanda remained steadfast, balancing the public expectation of the Yorkshire Shepherdess with the private reality of a mother and matriarch navigating unprecedented change. The children's lives, their routines, and their sense of stability became the anchor that held the family together. Even as the familiar story fans had loved so dearly evolved into something quieter, more fragile, and infinitely more human. It was a family redefining itself, not by spectacle, but by endurance, love, and the everyday acts that kept life at Ravenseat moving forward despite everything that had changed. The family adjusted to two households, shared responsibilities, and a new normal shaped more by absence than unity. But what has been the ripple effect of their separation on the family? How have they found ways to cope? And what is their relationship like now? Now, let's explore how Amanda Owen embraced change. Beyond the fairy tale. Today, Amanda Owen's story is no longer defined by the image of a perfect farming marriage. The cameras may have stopped rolling, and Our Yorkshire Farm may have ended, but life at Ravenseat goes on, stubbornly, beautifully, and with all the complexity that real life demands. The story is no longer one of seamless routines, shared triumphs, and idyllic days on the hills. It is a story of adaptation, resilience, and learning to navigate a world that has shifted irreversibly. Amanda and Clive remain inextricably linked, not by romance, but by the threads of family, responsibility, and the land that shaped them both. The children act as a living bridge between the two households, carrying lessons, memories, and shared love across each divide. Meanwhile, the farm itself remains a constant, an enduring anchor that neither time nor circumstance can sever. Despite working separately, both Amanda and Clive continue to tend flocks, manage fields, and nurture the daily rhythm of life that has always defined Ravenseat. Their connection is quiet but undeniable, built on decades of shared history, mutual respect, and a deep understanding that some bonds are unbreakable, even when love changes shape. What their journey ultimately shows is something profoundly human. Relationships, even those that feel unshakable, can evolve, shift, and sometimes dissolve, not because of betrayal or failure, but because the people within them change. Love, respect, and shared purpose may have run deep, but those same foundations are not immune to the pressures of growth, ambition, and circumstance. Over time, the life Amanda and Clive built together became a framework that could no longer hold who they had become as individuals. Separation, in this context, was not a dramatic rupture or scandal. It was an acknowledgement of reality, a difficult, painful, and honest decision to face what had quietly, steadily become impossible. Amanda Owen did not walk away lightly. Her decision was the culmination of years of subtle shifts, long days, personal ambition, public attention, and the widening gap between two people who once shared everything. She walked away because staying, even for the sake of appearances or routine, would have demanded sacrificing her well-being, her voice, and ultimately her sense of self. Walking away was not surrender. It was survival. It was a recognition that sometimes the bravest act is to let go, not out of anger or failure, but out of the necessity to live authentically. Today, Amanda's story is no longer about perfection or the fairy tale of farm life captured on television. It is about real life, in all its messiness, its courage, and its quiet victories. It is about embracing change, facing loss, and continuing forward with determination. Separation did not mark the end of Amanda Owen's world. It marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where she could remain true to herself, care for her children, honor the land, and continue the legacy of Ravenseat on her own terms. In this evolution, there is a lesson for anyone who has faced the impossible choice between comfort and growth. Sometimes letting go is the most courageous way to hold on to what truly matters. So, What do you think about the reason Amanda divorced her husband? Could they have managed their differences better? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.